Welcome everyone to the From Anxious to Calm challenge. Hello everyone, my name is Yvette, and I know that all of you came from different parts of the world, and I'm grateful to everyone who showed up here today. And my hope for you is that you will learn one or two useful techniques to beat stress and anxiety and simply just enjoy yourself here, relax and have fun. By the way, if it's convenient for you to do so, can everyone please turn on your videos so that I can interact with you and see that you are doing some of the techniques right later on. Okay, so shall we start? I know that this is a difficult time for many people. The world has changed since the pandemic, and we are never ever going back to the pre-pandemic days. Some of you may have family members and friends who had COVID or who had passed away from COVID. And some of you may have lost your jobs because of the pandemic. Or some of you may be working from home and see your relationship with your loved ones improving, or it could be the other way around because you see each other so much every day. And not only you need to work from home, you also need to homeschool your kids as well. But I want you to know that whatever is stressing you right now has an ending, and it's not going to be permanent. When your child grows up, when your boss stops being difficult, or when you found a better job, then it won't bother you anymore. Know that this too shall pass. This is only temporary. And we are all in this together. One day you will look back and say, I could have used that time better. So don't be that person that say, I shouldn't have watching Netflix and eat potato chips every day. I should have used that time at home better to learn the new skills, learn a new foreign language, to bake, to read more books, learn yoga, or anything that lights you up. So just some disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a lawyer, I'm a therapist. So I'm not here to give you any medical advice. This challenge is intended for educational purposes and to give you some strategies and tactics to relieve stress and anxiety. If you can put into action just one technique that you learned today, you'll be one step ahead than many of your peers. Do you know why? That's because most people are addicted to learning, but they don't take any action. Because knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is power. So I want you to play full out by your active participation. Is that all right? So there will be a short relaxation session at the end where we will get you into a slower alpha brainwave state where you are in a creative, imaginative, and receptive state. It's like being in a relaxing and meditative state. And if you have not done it before, don't worry, do not worry, because you will still have 100% control of your thoughts, actions, and behavior. Okay, let's talk about fear. And let me share a little about myself here with you guys. So I'm an introvert, and one of my greatest fear is public speaking. And that includes making videos and speaking to a camera, because putting myself out there means people are going to judge me based on how I look, how I speak, and how I sound. And speaking to all of you here online is a bit like speaking on stage. It can make me very nervous. So if I keep thinking of worst case scenarios and how I will fumble, the more anxious I will become. I won't be able to sleep. My mind will be racing. I will get palpitations, shaking, and trembling. I will get sweaty palms. And when I open my mouth, no words will come out. I will stutter and my mind will empty. So you see, it's not the event that makes you anxious. It's how you feel about the event. It is your mind that links anxiety to the situation if you keep thinking of the worst case scenarios. So I have two choices. I can either choose the easy way out, which is to eat more cake, watch more Netflix, buy more stuff online, and don't do this challenge at all so that I won't get the anxiety symptoms that I just mentioned. Or I can take uncomfortable action towards my dreams, make more videos, speak to an audience, and think of the best case scenario instead of the worst case scenarios. So instead of being rushed and panicky, just tell yourself, I have all the time I need to do this. I know how to handle this. People like me. I know what to say. I'm good at communication. I'm good at confrontation because I have phenomenal coping skills. All this send an instant message to your body that you are relaxed. You are telling your mind that you are super relaxed and you can change your state immediately. You see, watching Netflix and eating cake all day long is really convenient and easy things to do. But facing my fear is a really difficult thing to do. But listen, if you do the easy thing today, your life will be hard in future. But if you do the difficult thing today, then your life will be easy in future. So to be fearless, you need to make a fear list, which is a list of all your fears. Because if you pretend fear doesn't exist, it will control you. Because let's face it, things exist whether you want to experience it or not. If you pretend that fear doesn't exist or ignore it, fear will run unchallenged. The fear has something to say. The more you suppress it, the more you're going to aggravate it. It will come back even more pissed off and show up redirected in many different ways. And anxiety is recirculating fear trapped in your system. It's like a classroom of noisy kids. If you keep ignoring your emotions, they will just regroup and come back noisier and just trying to get your attention, and they will just say, me. But once you acknowledge them, they will say, now you got me. I can go away now. You need to fear your fears until they no longer need to be felt. Let me say this again. You need to fear your fears until they no longer need to be felt. So face your fears, embrace it, and ask it what you want. I tell my fears every day, yes, I see you. Yes, I hear you. Yes, I fear you. And my fears will say, now you got me. I can go away now. Then you can release your fears. You want to have a healthy, inclusive relationship with fear. And this is how you grow, because there is no learning and growth without fear. Fear supports growth. You know the story about Batman? He has a phobia for bats because as a little boy, he fell into a well and there are a lot of bats flying above the well. And one day he decided to face his fears once and for all. And he became the Batman. He stayed in a dark place, in a dark town, surrounded by bats until he is no longer afraid of them. So I'm still not a very good speaker, but I enjoy doing it a little bit more every day. We are aiming for progress here, not perfection. So stress versus anxiety. Do you know that in the 1950s, Time magazine covers were 90% positive in tone and content? Then, through the years, Time magazine realized that the more negative their stories are, the more copies they would sell. When people are fearful and uncertain, they want to keep going back to the news and media to look for more certainty in the news, which becomes a vicious cycle. As a result, the majority of the daily news we digest every day is completely negative. It is difficult to focus on positive thinking and positive thoughts and next level success when everywhere we turn, we keep receiving info that the world is doomed. The truth is, throughout history, there has always been wars, natural disasters. They didn't suddenly become more in the last 20 years. And do you know that if you were born 120 years ago, you have lived through World War I, then the Spanish flu, and then the Great Depression, and then World War II. But now, during the pandemic, we were only asked to stay at home, watch Netflix, wash our hands, wear masks. 50 years ago, people were asked to stand in the trenches and fight the war. So never before has all this negative news been so readily available. We get it on social media, on TV, and our phones at an alarming rate. And it will affect you whether you like it or not. It will create thoughts like, oh, Why would you want to start your own business when the economy is going down anyway? And why do you think you deserve love when famous movie stars keep getting divorced anyway? Or why do you want to get in shape when the world is becoming more and more obese now than ever before? When you absorb all this negative news out there, it feeds your inner villain and erodes your confidence. And the difference between stress and anxiety is stress is mental, but anxiety is physical in your body. Stress is a negative thoughts in your mind. And stress is waking up with a to-do list. Stress is what you get for doing too much or that you must do everything well. You really need to stop wearing the "I'm very busy" badge like a badge of honor. Anxiety, on the other hand, is negative thoughts that cause negative wave of feelings in your body. And we can attack anxiety by minding our mind, which I will explain more in the next few slides. So now let's talk about the signs of stress and what can stress do to your body. And let me explain it here. Many people tell me that I need to have stress in order to perform better. Actually, stress does not help you to perform better. Stress actually makes you stupid. And to understand this, imagine thousands of years ago, you are hunting in the savannah and the lion jumps out at you. Your body will flood with cortisol and adrenaline to shut down digestion because you need all hands on deck to fight or flee the lion. And acid seeps onto your skin so that if you are bitten by the lion, you don't taste good. Your blood starts to thicken and coagulate so that you don't bleed to death if you are bitten. And your vision becomes tunnel vision so that you don't become distracted by anything other than the lion. And your bowels and your bladder evacuate. Do you remember that whenever you are nervous before sitting for an exam or giving a presentation, you need to rush to the toilet to empty your bowels? It is basically your body trying to protect you, but it's not helping you at all in terms of performance. Increasing cortisol and adrenaline causes the body to become very acidic, and it's not fun at all. It leads to increase in belly fats, premature aging, erectile dysfunction, infertility, and stress can be very, very damaging to the body in the long run. And last but not least, your immune system takes a back seat. Because remember, you need all hands on deck to fight a lion. And your body doesn't care about cellular repair because the lion and your stress is immediate, but cancer only happens 5 to 10 years down the road. So this series of chemical reactions are useful if your demands is a lion. But if your demands are your spouse, your kids, your in-laws, your fines, your bills, your boss, your job, this fight or flight response become maladaptive. And using so much of your energy and brain energy just to handle an imaginative lion attack is not allowing you to perform at the top of your game. And you are wasting your energy worrying over something that is not even life-threatening. And these are the reasons why stress does not help you to perform better. Stress actually makes us stupid. So how can words and language shape your reality? So can everyone see the blue square among all the green squares in the figure on the right? But do you know that for the Himba tribe in Africa, they are not able to see the color blue because they do not have a word for the color blue. Instead, they have 10 to 12 words for the color green. In nature, you cannot find many things that are blue except for the sky. Isn't it interesting how if you do not have a word or language for something, you can't even see it? On the other hand, can everyone see a different shade of green among all the green squares in the figure on the left? For most of us, it's not so easy to differentiate the different shades of green because we do not have so many words for the color green. However, for the Himba tribe, they can see different shades of green easily because they have 10 to 12 words for the color green. The different shade of green is at the same placement as the blue square for the figure on the right. And this brings me to this. The way you feel about anything is down to two things: the picture you make in your head and the words that you say to yourself. And words and language you use can really shape your reality. And the way you feel is directly linked to the words you use. So I want you to ask your friends, what do I always say all the time? Because you won't even notice the words you are saying all the time until you start to listen to yourself. It could be, I am a disaster. This is a nightmare. I recently heard a friend commenting in a Facebook post that she is in prison because she needs to serve stay-home notice at home for 2 weeks because she went overseas and came back. So stop using these words like I'm stuck in the house, I'm cooped up at home, I'm in quarantine, I'm in prison. No, the truth is you are not locked up in prison. You are free to eat, to wear, and do what you want. Stop saying I'm trapped, I'm stuck, I'm in prison. This is a catastrophe. Stop saying I'm going crazy with all this stress. Say I'm at home, I'm indoors, I have food, I have heating, I have love, I have people to connect with. There is always something that you can do, someone that you can love, and somewhere that you can go. Say it out loud to yourself. I am safe. I am at home. I have a strong immune system. I can take care of myself. And I do not need to wait for the government to take care of me. You see, babies don't get anxious in the plane or in the car. They don't really know what anxiety is. Anxiety is acquired. And just as you acquire it, you can be free of it forever with the same mind that created it. So change the pictures and words in your head so that you can go from anxious to calm and anxious to compose, not sometime, but all the time. So now I'm going to show you what you all came here to learn, which is the 5 powerful techniques or tactics to calm your mind and beat anxiety. And the first one is the 5-second rule. So I want you to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and visualize a rocket launching off. And this is something I learned from Mel Robbins. This is called a pattern interrupt. Interrupt the negative thoughts in your mind and stop talking to yourself in a negative way. A man shared in Twitter about how the 5-second rule saved his life and stopped him from committing suicide. He wanted to jump off a ferry into the sea and he remembered the 5-second rule and he said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to himself and walk away from the edge of the ferry and stop the suicide. So let me explain the science of how this technique works. This is to get you from your emotional brain, the limbic system, at the back of your brain, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to bring you to your prefrontal cortex, your higher thinking brain at the front, which is the adult in the room. Because your emotional brain is not capable of words and numbers, so by counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can quickly shift your emotional brain to your prefrontal cortex, which is your higher thinking brain, which is the adult in the room. And I do this every time I keep snoozing in bed and not waking up on time when my alarm clock rings. So I just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get up. So all the techniques that I share with you today may look and sound simple, but listen, if it's too complex, nobody is going to do it. You're not going to do it if it's too difficult or take up too much of your time. Trust me in this. And it's always the simplest things that are the most powerful. So the next technique is the high five to the mirror. When you are alone in the bathroom, when no one is watching you, I want you to high five to the mirror. You don't have to say anything because sometimes you can't even find the right words to say, and that's okay. Just a high five will do. How many of us, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we tell ourselves all the negative things like, oh, I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too thin, I'm too fat. Oh dear, there's another gray hair. Oh no, there's a wrinkle here, there's a wrinkle there. How do you expect another person to encourage you, to love you, if you do not even love or encourage yourself or praise yourself? So the next time when you are alone in the bathroom, high five to the mirror and give yourself some love and encouragement. And the next technique that I'm going to share is the havening method. And havening just means to put you in a safe haven. And this technique has been used to help war veterans deal with trauma because it will remind you of the time when your mother comforted you. So you begin by stroking your arms like this. So it uses touch to release theta brainwaves for therapeutic purposes. And I want you to close your eyes and begin the havening touch. Think of an emotional moment of your life and keep doing this for a few more times until the emotional charge reduces. And then say the words, I am safe, I am calm, I'm at peace, while doing the havening touch. Repeat this again. So are you feeling more relaxed now? That's wonderful. And the next technique is exercise. You must exercise. And I know what you're thinking of right now. You must be thinking, I'm going to say that exercise helps you to lose weight and make you feel good, right? And yes, all these are true. Exercise does make you feel good and release natural antidepressants in your body. But I'm going to share something about exercise with you, something less known. Do you know that your circulatory system has a pump and is your heart? And your lungs also have the diaphragm to push and pull air out of your lungs. But your immune system has no pump. Your immune system is your lymphatic system and it has no pump. To move lymph around your body, you need to exercise or do deep breathing. You need movement. There is no other way. So why is our immune system so backwards, you may ask? That's because thousands of years ago, your ancestors moved around a lot. Nature ensures that they move around a lot to look for food for their own survival. There were no Uber Eats, Grab food back then. But now the modern human were getting too sedentary and they don't even need to get out of their house to buy food or to buy groceries. Therefore, you must exercise for the sake of moving your limb around. There is no other way. And the next technique that I'm going to share with you is to practice gratitude. And gratitude is the highest frequency that you can resonate at. Do you know that someone would love to swap places with you if you are unhappy with your life? Anytime. Someone would love to have your messy husband or wife, your noisy kids, your long commute to work, your old car, your old job. Just imagine for a moment. For someone who is trying to have children, they would love to have your noisy kids anytime. And for someone who is single and is dying to have a relationship, they would do anything to swap places with you to have your messy husband or wife. So when you are stressed, when you are feeling anxious, this is a manifestation that you are stuck in scarcity mindset, a lack mindset. Every successful person knows that the key to overcoming the scarcity mindset and shift into an abundance mindset every single time is to practice gratitude. Because your mind cannot hold two conflicting emotions. If you are happy, you cannot be sad. If you are calm, you can never, ever be anxious. It's just impossible. So try this next time. If you are feeling angry about something, be grateful for one thing and watch the anger melts away. So the more grateful you are for your life, the more goodness you will attract into your life. And this is a secret that every successful person knows. And by default, our mind will automatically focus on the negative things because the number one thing your mind wants to do is to help you survive. But what is bad is always out there. So is what is good. So focus on the good things. Be grateful for the shelter that you have over your head. Be grateful for the friends that you have, for the clean water that comes out from the faucet. And I have a bonus technique to show you. Let me know in the chat if you want to learn it. That's great. Okay, I want you to tap the middle of your chest around your heart and just repeat after me. Repeat after me. Even though I'm feeling, tell me your emotions about, tell me about the event. I fully love and accept myself exactly as I am. So for me, I would say, even though I'm feeling anxious about giving a presentation, I fully love and accept myself exactly as I am. So repeat your first statement again. Even though I'm feeling about, I choose to feel empowered, calm, and at peace about it. So do this a few more times until you feel the emotional charge around the event reduce. So how is everyone feeling right now? That's great. And I want to leave you with this quote. Different meanings can be assigned to the same events. If you look for evidence of how the world is encouraging you, you will find it. If you look for evidence of how the world is burdening you, you will find it. So choose an explanation that empowers you. So this is the end of my presentation. We are going to have a short Q&A session, and then I will start the short relaxation session. If you need to leave, you may do so right now before we start the relaxation session. And I just want to put a question to you out there. If you don't do anything about your issue right now, how are things going to be different for you 1 year from now? How about 5 years from now? Everyone say that change is scary, but do you know, not improving and staying the same is even more scarier? I'll be posting the link in the chat if you would like to work with me one-to-one. So thank you, everyone.